DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, I think we are live. We are here. Good evening, everyone. We are here with Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Unfortunately, I think Ben is in transit yet. We have not been able to get a hold of him. Arnaldo, you're out there. Jump in. Arnaldo and I will chat for a little while here tonight and do some Q&A. Because Ben is not in, and I don't know where exactly he is. So what we're going to do... Okay, yep, he's going to be coming in. Yeah, Ben was going to be traveling today, and we weren't sure if he was going to be to the hotel. Now, if you saw the graphic that Jimmy made for this show, I wonder if I can pull that up. Well, you guys probably saw that, where he's at the Bates Hotel. Well, Ben's somewhere between there and here and here and there. So we may not have Ben tonight. So in that case, Arnaldo and I are just going to chat a little bit, but we'll get to share a little bit here. So we'll make sure Arnaldo's audio is up and such.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome.
I can. Thanks for jumping in here. Yeah, we're not sure where Ben is tonight. If he hasn't landed, if he's delayed, what have you.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me just fix on my end.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear anything you just said.
We're just not sure where Ben is tonight. I wonder if if his flight got delayed because he was going to be traveling and then he hoped to be in a hotel by showtime tonight.
What was this about the Bates Motel?
Because he was going to be coming. We were going to do a Q&A tonight with Ben from a hotel. So Jimmy, who does our graphics and such and does a great job with those, decided to have a little fun with it, and that he's coming from the Bates Hotel.
I think you just answered your question as to what happened to Ben Stowe.
I think so. It's sad. I mean, gosh.
Did nobody watch the movie?
Oh, yeah, don't go. So
somebody said I'm really quiet. I should be okay now, I hope.
Yeah, I can. I can actually. I might have this turned down a little bit too, because depending upon how hot the other mics are. There we go. You should be better now.
Awesome.
Yep, there we go. Cool. Well, before we go too far into this show, we need to look at exactly what Ben Stowe was doing this past weekend, because that was going to be kind of a fun part of our discussion here. So I'm going to just give me a second here to adjust this shot, because Ben was very busy this past weekend, as we all were, of course. But
yeah, it's like
you'll
has there ever been a day where he's like, I have nothing to do? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my time.
There was one of those once, and then I said it too loud, and Lori found something for me to do. You probably have no idea what we're talking about. No.
No.
Yeah, Monica, look, we got the day open. Well, you remember that?
Well, I am proud to say that I finally had a day off after 5 months yesterday.
Holy cat.
I mean, I still had to work, but I had a day off.
It was a less structured day. Is that probably the best way to describe it? We
were at Disney, so nice. That's good. Okay, while you pull your thing up,
yeah.
I don't know if you saw my rant. Why are tourists so gross? I mean, it doesn't matter where you're from.
I saw that.
Tourists in general are gross.
Wait. This is the Ben Stowe social. We can talk about the gross tourists, but we have to do it in a technical fashion. Do they know how dangerous it is to be urinating and defecating between people in line? If you hit a live electric wire, you could zap.
You know, it's funny that you say that because that's exactly what happened. I wish there was a live wire there. This little kid just comes running, and the mom's like, "Oh, perdóname, man." I thought it was because her kid ran. No, she just pulls his pants down. He's just there peeing right between my wife and I. We're like, okay.
Oh.
And I was so shocked I couldn't say anything. Plus, my wife told me to be nice to people. Never again, John. Never again.
You had the one opportunity, and now you passed it up.
Telling you.
Go ahead. Okay.
So what was he doing this weekend?
Well, we got to switch something because I got to turn the camera on so you can see exactly what's going to, and you're going to get this weird thing.
Becky thing.
Yeah, it's going to give us
Can't you just drag and drop it into, you use Wirecast. Can't you just drag and drop it in there?
I can, but this is much more fun if we can get this to work and such, where we can do.
Ben D, not Ben S. Ben D says you should have your own intro, like.
I know. We should. You know what? There was actually. I forgot to click. There was a Ben Stowe Tuesday intro, and I didn't do that.
But no, there needs to be like a wrestling intro for you, John.
You know, there's some times where it feels like that's what we. I'm gonna just shut. We're not gonna.
Yeah, Burger owes you a favor. You should tell him, like, listen, can I get Michael Buffer? Like, he can't be that expensive to get a. Let's get ready to this jockey news, but he's got to fit that like in a single syllable.
In a nice little window here. Okay, so you got to turn the output camera. Virtual camera's got to go on, and then you're gonna get a weird sensation of seeing multiple of you.
Ooh, there's a sensation.
Yeah. So now, what Ben Stowe did last night, he's showing that he was a Renaissance this past weekend.
Look at that sweater.
Look at the sweater, and he's out there. He's making cookies, and look at there. He's mixing up the batter. Now, this is to a point. I think this is staged because I think here's the real person who is giving him the information and such. You know,
you can tell that is fake because there's no DMX port next to that mixer.
Exactly. No DMX point.
We all know this would be a real photo if there was a DMX port next to the mixer.
Or if he'd be wearing his rigging harness. I'd even believe that.
Yeah.
And there he is. And now I think he actually, you know, when you brought in a younger person like that, I think then Ben had to step up his game and really bring the cookie baking.
Exactly.
So kind of, you know, he's got to.
Is anybody else craving cookies or just me?
Well, he was doing a nice job. Look at that, and he dropped the sweater. But then you know, take a look at the shirt. I don't know if you guys have seen that shirt before, but it's got ATH.
Hold on a second. He wasn't wearing that shirt when he started making the cookies, and he's got a whole different shirt. Yep, fake news. Sorry, #fake news.
Okay, wait a second. Let's look at the undershirt. We can see it on this one. We can see that the undershirt. So if the undershirt fits, we must acquit.
That's true.
Oh, there we go. There's a little history. Ben is finally somewhere.
You heard from him?
Yep, he's there. So we'll let him get himself somewhere. But yeah, so there is Ben Stowe's handiwork, and now this is where, and I would expect we could call this fake news, because are you noticing what I don't see in any of those characters?
Star Wars?
Yeah. This is not a Ben Stowe thing. Granted, he might have been at the in-laws, and that could be understandable that the in-laws would be like anti-Star Wars because...
Well, no. Hold on a second. Not like, listen, I'm not a Star Wars fan per se, like other people are. But do you know a single Star Wars person that respects whether other people like Star Wars or not before they make Star Wars shaped cookies?
They just go.
I mean, there are weddings that have not happened because somebody found out that the bride or groom didn't like Star Wars. So, you know, there's like a whole storyline in How I Met Your Mother about Star Wars. So if they were really Ben cookies, I think they would have Star Wars. And if the in-laws didn't like it, Ben would be like, well, you don't get any cookies now, do you?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Unless that's not a candy cane. Notice it's upside down, so maybe it's J for Jedi.
Ooh, could be. I didn't notice that.
Good. Let the dough flow through you.
Well, you know, if you add a little bit too much margarine, I suppose it would kind of flow through you, and that gets us to another story.
Oh man.
So
this is possibly the best stalling ever.
Well, you know, we've had to do some things like this before. So we got Christmas coming up right around the corner, and next week we're going to start this out. Did you get a chance to check your calendar, by the way?
I did. I have to check the calendar.
Okay.
I think I have for December the 11th.
11th.
That should be good.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be planning on. But we're going to be having all sorts of different shows and such coming up here in early December. We're going to be giving away nightly prizes. We'll be sending out the email tomorrow.
He's alive.
He is alive.
I heard it click.
It's coming. And we'll be sending out the link tomorrow so you guys can start getting signed up for the different prizes and things. We actually have a couple more sponsors who are jumping in on this, and they've got to get us what they're going to be doing for prizes so Jimmy can make the graphic.
Awesome.
Arnaldo, any idea where Ben is?
Yeah, I think Ben just logged in. I heard a pop.
I know I can see him, but I'm looking at the room and I'm thinking, what is that room?
I know it's a live Q&A, but if you don't mind asking the first question, Ben, we want to know if those are real cookies that you made because there's no Star Wars cookies.
Oh, did he show those cookies?
Well, yeah,
he did.
We were filming.
Bring the Adobe with you.
Yeah, we were disappointed.
No, yes, they are real cookies, and I really did make them. But it was at my one of my mother-in-laws, and that's a funny story. I have two mother-in-laws because my wife was adopted. But it was one of my mother-in-laws, and she disappointingly doesn't have any Star Wars cookies. But my father-in-law did play Star Wars while we made them, so it sort of made it okay.
See, John, told you.
Wow.
Told you.
I
told you.
It was all there. It all came together.
Yeah.
So, Ben, where are you tonight?
I did make them. I made them by myself. Well, not by I had great helpers, as you could see. I don't know if you showed all the pictures.
Oh,
but, yeah, I had great helpers. But it turned out pretty good. I ate about half of them, I think. So.
Now, how much of the actual cookies were eaten after they were actually baked as opposed to before they were baked?
Well, we had raw eggs in the dough, so we behaved ourselves and didn't eat the dough. But it was hard. It was hard to. No, I'm not saying all the frosting made it on the cookies,
Because that's the whole point of being an adult, is being able to eat the cookies before they're baked.
I agree, and if it wasn't for that, whole salmonella thing, it probably would have happened. So.
Do you know anybody that died of salmonella? That's.
I'd hate to be the first, though.
Can you imagine, this isn't gonna kill me? Oh, he's dead.
There he goes.
What happened?
It's like, what's the highest you've ever rigged?
I'd get a little tribute show, I think, and I'd be out. That'd be just like that. So, John, you asked about the room I'm in. This is the project that I'm on, and what you see behind me hanging on the wall, and it contrasts really nicely with the teal wall. We decided, what did we decide that was? A deep teal? Yeah, a deep teal. Yeah, we were working on what color that was. But those are acoustic panels, and they're wedge shaped, and they're specifically chosen both in their density, shape, and placement to change the acoustic properties of the room. This is going to be an auditorium for a new church.
Oh,
very cool.
And you can see our job box there. I'm hanging with the install boys, and we're having a good time. So I'm dirty. I got paint. I look like I'm working. This is fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. Look at this. All right. See that, viewers? I don't just sit in my, golden throne,
Death Star.
The Death Star.
Yes, I don't sit. Yes, my Emperor's throne in the Death Star. Yeah.
So you're off there getting things all set up and such. Just checking. If you guys have any questions, we'll have Ben on here for just a little bit, and then he's going to have to bounce because we don't want to take up too much of the time if you guys are busy installing, which it looks like you are.
Yeah, we're just wrapping up for the day. Worked a nice long day, and got an awful lot of stuff done. I did a lot of the rigging stuff, sort of my comfort level, of course. And but I tell you what, props to our install guys, because I used to do a lot of install work. I used to be an install tech, and I'm not anymore. Obviously, people know my role at the company is as the president, which means a lot of time on airplane seats and that sort of thing. And I love my job, but it's fun to go back to the install roots. But at the same time, I'm watching my guys just work circles around me.
The guys who do it all the time.
Probably wondering, how in the world did he ever get to be the boss?
Well, you see.
It's like, well, I was okay, and then I ate some raw cookie dough.
Yes.
And now things have gotten much slower.
Things have changed. Hey, Ben, one question I had someone send in earlier, and they were we've talked about this a million times. They wanted to know about microphones. They want to invest in some new microphones, and they were wondering now that the the whole range, the frequencies have been kind of figured out for a period of time. Is there anything new coming out from companies like Electro Voice in wireless microphones that you can share with the audience?
Well, the last part of your question is the best part. I can neither confirm nor deny. On an official level, I can't say. If it hasn't been announced, then I'm not privy to say that. However, it would surprise me greatly if a company like Electro Voice, with its storied history in fact, I think rumor has it they actually used to make wireless mics for Shure before Shure made their own wireless mics. So I'm not sure if that's accurate, but the point is Electro Voice has been making wireless for a long, long time. So it would really surprise me if they don't have something coming out around NAMM, just for example.
For example. And not that I'll be, for those of you, I typically know quite a bit about what's going on to talk to the guys. This is one that they have said that they wanted to wait until the frequency things kind of work themselves out. So if that's now or if that's next year, that's as much as I've been told. So,
well, that said, now that the frequency thing is worked out, like I said in the previous show, you can bet that the engineers at all these great companies, Audio-Technica, Sennheiser, Shure, AKG, Electro Voice, and Electrosonic, and more, Audix, you can bet that now that they know what's going on, they're moving at full speed to take advantage of the newly, the new spectrum, or the remaining old spectrum, or however you want to think about that. So I think you're going to see certainly some innovation. On the other hand, what we learned is that it wasn't so bad. Still plenty of good systems out there. Sennheiser EW series, Audix 4060 series. Sure, SLX is still viable. ULX is still viable in certain bands. Certainly things like QLXD and ULXD are, I think, the ghost of Christmas future. So we don't really have to wait for new things either. There's a lot of good things on the market still, So, but I think we're going to see more new things. We're going to see continued innovation.
Very nice. That'll be fun at NAMM. Next question. Somebody's asking, with the panels and such, the layout of the room behind you, would you use a software to kind of figure out where to place the panels and what percentage of the wall to cover with panels?
Absolutely. And we also use software to calculate this room has line arrays. We use software to calculate the array angles and show the mapping throughout the room, to have a visual representation of what the consequence of those rigging decisions will be. If we use this box and we place it here, what's the result? What does it look like? And likewise, we use software and the panels to, the software doesn't say, hey, just do this and you're good. The software just shows us the consequence of intuitive placement. And then you can get to the results that you're looking for.
And I'm guessing that install software is not a consumer type level thing. It's something that's very specific.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, the software doesn't have an easy button you just press. It still requires some level of knowledge to use it, because it's demonstrating the consequences to you. But there are some great softwares out there that consumers can access. I think Ease Focus is free, and that's a pretty cool tool. It's not nearly as powerful, as well featured as a full version of Ease. But for quick and dirty, it's really good, and it's free. So.
We'll do a couple more questions, Ben, and we'll let you jump on. And Arnaldo and I are going to talk about some subwoofer things, because there's some.
We have some pretty awesome subwoofers here too.
Oh.
So the RC.
Well, if you could take us through what you've got there, that'd be kind of cool too. Let's do that in just a second, because this is a speaker question. Someone sent in wondering they want to go. They are using unpowered speakers, and they want to stay in that realm, but all they're hearing us talk about are the EKX, ETX, and everything that's powered. And they're wondering what you would recommend for someone who really likes their unpowered speakers and want to stick with their current amplifiers and just add some higher end quality speakers to their show.
Well, first and foremost, there's a lot of things to be said about modern powered speakers in terms of convenience and that sort of thing, having it all in one box. And certainly we know the benefits of EKX and ETX and that sort of thing. But as we've talked about in previous shows, anytime you start smashing an amplifier and everything into one box, things there's compromises that have to be made. We're concerned about weight, concerned about cost. size, all those sorts of things. So a properly powered, properly tuned passive system almost always will outperform a powered system. So definitely nothing wrong with staying powered. Many, probably overwhelmingly, most of your touring systems are still passive. And for that reason, amplifiers stay closer to power distribution. They have better cooling systems. They're able to put more rubber to the road, so to speak. As far as what speaker, that's probably not a question we can answer on the show, just because it's going to take a little more time to ascertain what you want to do with it, what your amplifiers are. Obviously, we want to look at the power capability of those amplifiers and match that loudspeaker to them. And then let's look at the performance characteristics that you're looking for. So I think that's one of those. Just kind of reach out to me, and we'll tackle that question. So.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's see.
Not much to take through. I mean, I can't really walk you through the room and show you too much at this point. It's just day one here, so not much for show and tell, anyway.
Okay. I was wondering if you had the speakers there, because people always like to look at gear.
Another day.
Gear is a big thing. Somebody's asking about which microphones would you recommend going with, Shure, or EV, or Sennheiser, what have you. And I think that's probably similar to the speaker situation, that there's the right tool for the right job type of thing.
Yeah, very much so. There's a lot of good brands and a lot of good systems, and I've got kind of a breakdown that you can look at of what did I put on there. I've got the Shure BLX, which is very entry level. Some a real cautionary note, and that's why I put it in there, is to show the difference. Basically, where does your money go? So I've got BLX, I've got QLXD, I've got Sennheiser EW 100 series, I've got the Audix 60 series. I put a few others in a spreadsheet so you can really kind of look and compare what the feature sets are.
And where do you have that spreadsheet at?
On my hard drive.
Okay, great. So I can.
Yeah, if a viewer asks, I'll be happy to send it to them.
Okay.
Just message me and I'll be happy to email it. It's easiest for me to email it, so that would be the easiest way to send it to you because of the way it's formatted. I can just paste it into the body of an email and off it goes.
And off you go. Very nice.
Bang for the buck, I would say, and of course, selfish plug, we have some pretty rocking deals right now, and in particular, rebates were just extended until June of 2018 on the Sennheiser 100 series. It's 42 megahertz wide of tuning, 1,680 tunable channels. I think it's 30 milliwatts of transmit power. Tremendous bang for the buck. You're looking at a system in the 500s, both 500 megahertz and $500. And I've got a bunch of those systems, and I use them all the time, and I'm buying more for myself. So there's that. QLXD, love that system. I've got some of those. There's a lot of places you can go, and like you said, there's not really it's not really something we can tackle right now.
Sure.
It's kind of an individual thing.
But yeah, if somebody wants to reach out and get more information and on some comparisons that Ben is done with that, reach out to Ben and he can get you that spreadsheet. Well, cool, Ben. I'm going to let you get back to her since you guys are cleaning up, and I don't want to hold you up anymore because Arnaldo and I'll find a couple more things to talk about, and we're going to start with subwoofers. This is a question.
I appreciate you guys covering for me, and I think I'm about to the point where I'm going to go hit the shower and hit the bed. Another fun full day of trying to keep up with the install guys tomorrow.
There you go. They seem a lot younger than we are these days for some reason. I don't know why.
They are, and they do this every day, and doggone it, they're good at it, and they're also in pretty good shape. So,
so that sounds good, Ben. You have yourself a great evening, and we will chat next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. Okay.
A lot of questions have actually come in. I think some of them you and I would be able to tackle.
That's what I'm thinking. We'll dig into that because I know when Ben's done these shows before, when he's on an install, he generally, it's like, okay, they're working, they're cleaning up, and then Ben's like, quiet.
Real quick, actually, there was one that I wanted to answer because I was even surprised. So Ben D asked about American Audio, the WU419 4-channel mic system.
I figured that one you could probably handle better than Ben because you've used it more than.
Well, I'll be honest with you. What's the street price on that thing? Because I know my price. I'm not allowed to say.
I want to say
we can't say, what the dealer's selling for if you contact them directly, but. It's like what? It's $299, right? And you get the 4 microphones. You get obviously the receiver, but the receiver has 4 individual outputs, or it sums them into one. I'm thinking, okay, $300 for 4 microphones. It can't be that great, So we were at DJ Expo. I think you're familiar with that, John.
Yeah, I think
it gets a little loud there. So a little loud. Anyways, I mean, you play with them. I mean, they are surprisingly robust. The microphone it's all metal. And I thought it was really cool that the inside, the mic, the little surround part, it was kind of weird. If you guys actually hold it, it's not rounded. It's an octagon. I'm like,
Yep.
why the hell would they choose a weird shape? But that way, when you put the mic, it doesn't roll off.
it doesn't roll off the table. Yeah.
One of the guys said the same thing. Like, look, listen, $300 for the 4 microphones. There's no way the range is that great. So the guy walked. If you remember, the ADJ booth is right here, and there's like maybe about 100 feet from there to the back wall.
Yep.
The guy went past the pipe and drape to the very back wall behind the stage, and we were still hearing him. I was very surprised. And by the way, those microphones are under the 600 megahertz range, so they are safe despite the whole FCC thing that's been going on. I mean, would I use it as my primary microphone? I don't want to say yes or no because I've been able to give it a true, test.
Mm-hmm.
But hell, for karaoke, for toast, because I'm tired of people dropping the mic. And you're talking, if somebody does drop the mic, which the fact that it's all metal, it's going to absorb a little bit more. But if somebody drops the mic, I think it's like less than $40 or $50 for a whole new microphone.
Right. Yeah.
It's nuts, and that means you still got 2 or 3 other backups. The WU419. Absolutely a very I mean American Audio has been going in a very different direction as of late. They really have. Their newer products have been pretty cool, and their new handheld microphones, I'm not gonna lie, those things sound great.
They really do. Yeah. I bought some, and then I have every once in a while you have people coming over that know that I have gear, and they're like, hey, we need a microphone. Great. So I took all 3 of them out there, and I've done that, and I've sold 3, ironically, of the low, middle, and high, we'll call them. I've sold 3 of the entry level ones, mainly because it has a switch and it sounds good. The other 2 don't have switches. They sound great. They all sound good, but I mean the others, there's a noticeable difference in the sound quality. But people are like, that $30 and it sounds like that? Oh my gosh, I'll take it.
Oh yeah, and with wireless and wired mics, I think the number one question that people never ask a dealer, and guys, obviously, hit up NLFX and ask them about like the American Audio or the EV microphones, but it doesn't matter what brand you look at. The number one question that you should ask is, how is the handling noise? My number one pet peeve is when I hand the microphone to somebody and you hear this.
Yeah.
I hate that. And I know like when somebody mentioned about Shure or EV, personally, that's why I got away from Shure. I don't like their handling noise. Unless you're spending like $1,000 on one Shure microphone.
Yep.
They have horrible handling noise. I have several of the EV series, and even their lower end series, they don't have that much handling noise. I like that personally.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you wanted to talk subs. What's up?
Hang on, before we do, let's get, there's one more, and then we'll get into the sub thing. Ian asked, and he had sent this out. He's wondering why at the Emmys people can stand 5 feet from a microphone and it sounds great, but like at a wedding ceremony, the bride or whoever can be like 2 feet away from a microphone and they're completely washed out, lost. Oh,
there's a great answer to that, and that's probably because there's $1 million worth of audio gear at the Emmys, and you maybe have $1,000 at your ceremony.
Yeah, that is the biggest reason. And with ceremonies, this is an area that I've struggled with for a long time. Is miking the ceremony, the officiant, and the groom so that it's all picked up. And I used to, I buy this Shure, and I bought the ULX series, and I bought the ULX series that had the belt pack, excuse me, and the lapel as a kit, thinking, oh well, this is the upper end, DJ type microphones. This should have a good lapel mic, and I would use it at that wedding, and it would be down here, and it wouldn't pick up squat, or it was picking up too much in the window, whatever it was, and I was so disappointed with it. And then it's like, okay, so can I buy a different microphone? And I talked to, this is before Ben and I worked, because this is long ago. So I was talking to the guys down in Minneapolis, and it's like, hey, is there a different microphone that would work better? And they're like, yeah, no, pretty much a lapel is a lapel. No. A $100 lapel is a $100 lapel. A $300 lapel is a different beast. A $1,000 lapel is a different beast. I ended up this late summer, for whatever reason, I decided to just pony up the money and get a $300 lapel microphone. Oh my gosh, night and day difference.
No, absolutely.
Huge. So.
And okay, Ben asked which wireless mics I use. I mean, I love Audio Technica. That's my thing. But people also have to realize that, first of all, I don't ever recall seeing lapel mic being used at the Emmys. They usually have, the microphones on the podiums.
Yeah.
But even then, most of us are buying lapels, not understanding if we're buying a cardioid or a super cardioid.
Yeah.
A super cardioid is going to have the most rejection of ambient noise, so you can turn it up without getting that feedback. So, guys, when you're looking at buying a lapel mic, if you're going to use it specifically for a wedding ceremony, you want to use a super cardioid, but only if everybody's going to be microphone or mic, including the bride, because if it, like, I have the System 10 Pro, and that's a standard cardioid, so it'll pick up the groom, it'll pick up the bride, it'll even pick up the officiant.
Yep.
Once you crank it up so much, then you're going to have, feedback because it's picking up the ambient noise. If you use a super cardioid, you can crank it up and it's going to sound like they're talking into a standard microphone like this one, but then you're not going to pick up the microphone because or the bride, because it's only picking up the person that's right in front of them. It's one of those that I don't understand. DJs put so much thought into everything else except the microphone. They're like, oh, well, this is a good price. Okay, well, what kind of pickup is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a cardioid? Is it a condenser? Is it a super? And is it an active or dynamic? I know you weren't there for this. We did a live stream with Audio Technica, and Gary went into this in depth. There was stuff I didn't even think about.
Oh yeah.
But I really think that's the one thing we buy into microphones. Yeah, like you said, lapels, you really do get what you pay for. But then we need to figure out what kind of lapel do we have. And
yeah.
That's the big difference is, the Emmys have people that went to school for sound. A lot of us didn't go to school for monitor systems engineering or miking people or whatever. So, yeah, there's a reason we aren't doing the Emmys. And that's because they want people to hear somebody from a microphone 5 to 10 feet away.
Yeah, it has to be able to pick that group of 6 or 7 people who may not lean into the microphone that might be talking back here. It's all got to be set up properly.
Oh, and you got to think of it. There's somebody in there whose job is to just monitor the sound to make sure that, because, you get some celebrities and they're like, and the winner is, and then you get the ones that just pretty much want to please the microphone and talk right into it like this, like to the point that they're actually pushing the microphone and then they scream into it. So, I mean, somebody's literally going up and down, just having to riot everything. And obviously they've got a lot more DSP on these microphones than we do.
Oh, yeah. But as you say, you're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear doing the sound compared to pretty much anything we can bring out or afford to do. Two different complete worlds. Okay, last thing, and then we're going to wrap here because I've got to get things switched over. I've had people asking about subwoofers, higher powered subwoofers, and I keep sending them your way, Arnaldo, and hopefully they're not offending you or bothering you, but they're asking about what's the best higher powered, still portable subwoofer between the ETX, the Yamaha, the 18 sub there, and a lot of them are looking at the is it the QSC? Mm-hmm. RCF. You had an RCF sub.
I've not heard the RCF, but I wouldn't even put QSC in anything remotely close to the ETX or the DSR series personally.
Okay.
Most people that have the QW sub or the KW, excuse me, wind up switching to the ETX series. I mean, the ETX by far blows anything QSC has. And you and I both know why the ETX blows everything out of the water. But in my opinion, especially for DJs, I don't know if you know, but we had a lot of Yorkvilles, and I have sold every single Yorkville. Now, the Yorkvilles are still the loudest one-note wonder out there. And it should be. It's a Danley design. But then what happens is that every note, I think under 50 hertz is what we had it metered at, it was completely distorted. It doesn't matter the volume. It's not a clean sounding sub. And I just got into it with another DJ like, there's no such thing as clean bass. Well, that's because you've never had a good sub. Mm-hmm. The ETX, let's focus on the ETX first. You do get clean bass. Is it as loud as the Yorkville? No, but it hits deeper without that distortion. Bass is something you're supposed to really feel, especially the lower notes. You shouldn't be hearing that cone going back and forth. If you're actually hearing that whoosh, 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 you're clipping or you're distorting at that point.
Issues, yeah.
But man, that DSP, and doesn't matter if it's the ETX sub, even the tops, that DSP, there's nothing like it. I mean, I haven't touched a drive rack since switching to the ETX series. There's no need. You have your delay, you have your cardioid mode, you have your room frequencies. For a mobile DJ, I don't need that. But I wound up switching to all ETX. Not because I like the ETX or the Yamaha as far as the subs, but it was because of the way that DSP works and because it is very sensitive. It's not like when it's telling you that it's peaking, it's like another speaker that, hey, you're peaking, you need to bring it down. When the ETX telling you that it's peaking, it's just saying we're protecting your speaker. I have tortured the piss out of these subs, John, just for the heck of it. And I asked Mike, I'm like, listen, I want to torture the sub. I'm going to run it for 4 hours of nothing but just cranked up distortion. If I blow it, can I get another driver sent out? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'd make a good video. So I got to upload that video at some point. 4 hours straight, nothing, pure distortion. You could hear if you put your headphones on, it just sounded horrible. And it came out nice out of that EV because it rolled off that clipped wave and it never blew it up. I don't want to say the ETX is an unblowable sub, but if it survived an entire prom season with me, it's a good sub. Between that and the Yamaha, that's tough. I haven't A/B'd them, and I'll be honest with you, I'm scared to, because I think my answer is going to sound so vague, people would be upset, but I've heard them at different times, and they both have their pros and cons, but I think like the sound output is almost similar as far as what I could tell. You have a nice, clean sound. The Yamaha, I think the EV hits a little bit deeper. I think the Yamaha hits a little bit higher, and that's because of the bandpass that it has on it. So if you prefer that bandpass sound, you're really going to like the Yamaha. But the EV already comes with the wheels. You have to buy the casters for the Yamaha. And dude, I got to tell you, that EV sub is so lightweight. I think it's like, I don't know if you can pull it up. I think it's like not even 100 pounds for an 18.
Yeah. It's a bulky box, but for what it can do.
Yeah, it's insane. You know, the Yamaha is also very lightweight, comparatively speaking, but it doesn't have the casters. You have to buy them and put them on, which isn't a big deal. Yeah. But I hate being one of those, you need to listen to them firsthand, but you do. You're talking, between horn load, direct, and then you have your band pass. Those are completely different sounds.
Very much so. And that's what the advice I've been giving. It's like, I've done the same. We've heard them at different locations at different times. And I think there definitely is a difference in sound. And some people, kind of like in the olden days, people are like, Servo and Vega, the earthquakes, that's the bass I want to hear. And then you had some, people who wanted to hear, more of that tighter bass on a sealed cabinet, like a bag end, what they became known for, where it was that type of. So, there's a different type of bass, and everyone likes something a little different.
That's it. It depends what people consider good bass. Like I'll give you an example in the car audio world. And by the way, anybody tuning in is probably like, this is not Ben Stowe. What kind of bait click was this? So anyway, coming from the car audio world, John, we had two different kinds of bass, right? We had two categories. You had your SPL, meaning you wanted the loudest bass. It didn't matter if it was sloppy, loose. You just want a bass that would just shake your dentures right off. Even if you weren't wearing dentures, something would come out. And then you had your SQ, your sound quality. And in these car audio competitions, they would have meters in different spots. And for SQ, the sound quality, they would actually compare, okay, how does this sound? The insane amount of engineering that goes behind these things, I don't even think any of us would understand half the stuff they used to do at these competitions, particularly Iasca. But then you had people that made subs that gave you what we call SQL. So again, speaking in car audio terms, right? The big mama jamma, as far as like heavy, nasty bass sounds, you had your Servo Vegas stroker, which had two spiders. It was the weirdest thing, right? So the actual spider, the little rip part of the sub, it had two of them. Some of them were even inverted. So the actual voice coil and magnet were on the outside and the actual woofer part was on the inside. But the Stroker Pro was the big one. And then you had the Solo Barrack, the square sub that, you see in a lot of cars. But those were loud, but they weren't exactly the best sounding. Then you had good sounding bass subs, like low bass subs, like your Infinities, your Polks, your Boston Acoustics. But then you had companies that basically made what we call SQL. And that's what hits loud and what has that good sound quality. Would it hit as loud as, let's say, a Solo Barrack? No. But I think that's what's happening with the pro DJ world. Now we're seeing subs like the ETX that give you that trade-off where, the compromise, between a very loud sub and something that sounds really good. And then you have your Yamahas that give you that. I'm not impressed with the QSEs personally. That's just my opinion. I don't care for the sound versus the cost. PreSonus is actually an up-and-comer. Yep. And that is one that I think we're going to hear a lot more from. Do they hit like the EVs or the Yamahas? Not a chance. But I think it's like 65 pounds for a wooden cabinet with the 4 casters in it, 18-inch sub, pretty decent DSP. you're going to see a lot more, I think, or hear a lot more people talking about the PreSonus. For a wedding, that's a great system. I ran it for a school dance, and that's what my review is going to be based on, is that I beat the piss out of it. But it's hard to say what's the perfect sub, because it depends. What kind of bass do you want? Do you want to rattle the walls? And even then, I still wouldn't say Yorkville, because I don't like their customer service. If you want to rattle the walls and you're not caring about sound quality, or not sound quality, but as much as, having it perfectly tuned with your system, go with the big cabinets. If you can afford Danley, by all means, go with Danley. That's the creme de la creme. There's Bass Boss, and Bass Boss, they're loud.
Yeah.
They had a really impressive area in DJ Expo, and I didn't like their showroom area, because you really couldn't tell. And they are loud. I'm not sure if there was a lot of some of the other stuff that I've heard. Oh my goodness, there is one sub that I heard that I'm like, this is ridiculous. Oh, KV2.
Oh yeah.
You can afford it. I would love to hear them side by side. I personally think the KV2s will spank the Bass Boss from here all the way to the other side.
Yeah,
those KV2s are ridiculous. My friend Brian just used them, and he said that the 215s, he was hitting 117 from the other side of the gym.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, that is ridiculous.
Wow.
And that almost sounds impossible when you think about just dual 15, but people that use the KV2s, and I've never heard one negative thing about the KV2s.
No, the only negative I've ever heard is that they're not cheap.
And they're not lightweight.
Yeah.
He said 260 pounds for each cabinet.
Wow.
But and that's why I like the ETX and I like the Yamahas. And at some point, somebody needs to do a comparison video, but it's not good. There's not going to be a clear winner. I know that for a fact. There's not going to be a clear winner between the DSR 18, not the DSR. I'm sorry, the DXR, DXS, the DXS 18, because the DSR, it's not even in comparison to the other ones. The DXS 18 and the EVX 18, or the ETX. Why can't I talk to that? You know what I mean?
The 218
I hate giving you that vague answer, but I think it's the same answer Ben would tell you. Well, it depends.
That's where we should leave.
But I guess because we are DJs and we are going to blow our speakers. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Yamaha has an incredible customer service. EV has incredible customer service. John, I'll tell you a true story, and Mike's going to hand me for this, but because please don't expect, everybody has different customer service stories, and this was with EV, and this wasn't even dealing with Mike. I call EV directly because something happened. One of my idiot techs, I don't know, they dropped the sub or what, but the magnet had cracked.
Okay.
And they're like, well, we're going to make a couple of calls. They called all the service centers to see if anybody would be able to fix that sub right then and there. EV, one of the reps from EV called me back, or the service reps, and like, listen, we actually found a local place. They're going to rent it out to you. We'll get the stuff taken care of. And EV was absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. They even sent me out a new driver, and they said, get your driver replaced. Make sure it's the driver, not the amp, and then send the other one in. Their advanced driver program or advanced replacement program is incredible.
Very
but
nice.
That's what happens when you're Bosch and you can do that. Same thing with Yamaha. I had an issue with I don't know what happened, but we bought a couple of DXRs, and one of them wound up being bad. I don't know if the guy we bought it from, they were used, if they abused them or not. And Yamaha, even though I bought them secondhand, they were still fairly new. Yamaha treated them like they were in warranty. Mm-hmm. And I called as a consumer. I didn't call as, a reviewer, just to make sure, that this is, when I tell somebody the service that you get, that's the service that you get.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody complain really about EV service or Yamaha service, but I can tell you with other companies that start with a Y and end with ill, I've had really, really, really bad customer service. Won't touch them again.
Y and end with an ill. Y and end with... Hey, gang,
there's a peppermint patty named after them. Which is a shame. I'm not going to discount it. It's a loud sub. That particular sub is loud. But when I want clean bass, when I'm doing these beauty pageants, John, or when I'm doing events for deaf people and they want to be able to just not feel the music, but actually discern one note from the other, yeah, EV or Yamaha every time. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. And I have like 6 or 7 different brands of subs, but it really comes down to EV or Yamaha. And a lot of times it's picked based on the rider. Some of my DJs prefer one brand or another, but we do a lot of rentals and I get a lot of guys. It's got to be EV or it's got to be Yamaha or, Nexo. Same thing. Like, I want Nexo. I don't have Nexo. I don't know what kind of money you think I'm made out of. What about the DXS? It's made by the same designers and the same company. And props to Dave Hatmaker on that one. And yeah, it's really what it comes down to.
Cool. Hey, Arnaldo, we gotta jump here. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. For those of you who are watching and wondering where Ben is, he is on assignment. He was with us for a little bit, and Arnaldo was generous enough with his time this evening to jump in. And we'll be back in just a little bit with the show. And Arnaldo, you and I will be back in about 2 weeks on a Monday night, having a good time talking about all sorts of fun stuff with our Christmas event.
Actually, we got to go over a different date. I just realized I'm going to be in DC that night.
Well, we may have to move it. We'll
figure it out.
We'll figure it out tomorrow. We'll get our schedule up fully for tomorrow. So, gang, we'll be back in about 8 minutes to catch you. Go to our YouTube channel and catch the link in a minute. Thanks, Arnaldo.
Have a good night.